Welcome to the Dragon's Tome, episode 187, issue 187 of Dragon Magazine. We're going through every single one chronologically. And my name's Rob, I guess.
And I'm Jack, I guess.
I guess I'm Pat.
We're guessing who we are. One time, for April Fools, we should switch our names. But it's not. It's November 1983 in this one. 83? Or 82? Am I wrong?
82, I think.
82, yeah. 82. Or 92. What is 82? What time traveling? 92.
Oof, 80.
Yes. November 92. 92. I had 93 in the notes. It is 92. We're not there yet. It's almost 93. We're only 2 months away.
Almost 93.
Jack, what are you drinking? Please tell me there's
like a Coke Zero.
Please tell me there's rum or something.
Coca-Cola.
Usually it's a beer. What the hell?
We do record on Fridays, and I generally do have my a adult beverage, but I've been rushed, so I'm this is what was in the I will be gassy. Anyone at home wondering the state of my stomach? Gassy.
This cover is by John C. Luck. It's a griffin with a knight on top. Pretty cool. I like griffins with knights on top. Anything to say about
very
said
World
griffin?
of Warcraft?
Yeah, many years before World of Warcraft, but yep, for sure.
Yep, many years before World of Warcraft, but yes.
Excellent use of perspective, and it's almost as though this was painted for a mid-90s 3D
I was gonna say
movie where
it's coming right at me. It's fucking 3D.
I guess it's not a griffin.
things-
I just realized it's not a griffin. It's a hippogriff, right? It's got a horse ass. It's not a lion.
Hippogriff have a...
I think so, isn't it? Isn't that
You're
what
right.
I
You're
think
right.
so.
I think it's a hippogriff.
Anyways, yes, 3D picture. Yeah. Have we seen John C. Luck before? I don't remember that name.
I saw
It
him in
sounds
Walk
familiar,
Hard.
but I don't know.
I saw him in
Jack stalks him, but
I saw him in Step Brothers. I saw him in
it's John C. Reilly's fake name.
I guess so.
I was gonna go with C. Thomas Howell and say I saw him in Soul Man.
I could. This is like deja vu to me because I could swear we've made this joke before. maybe John C. Luck wrote a article or something before. Yeah. Other than that, it's cool.
Loved him in Patton, George C. Scott.
George C. Scott. There's a lot of C's. Yeah. Anything? Yeah. I like the background. Nice mountains.
Good picture. I mean, again, all we can do is make fun of some small things, but in all, these paintings are spectacular.
Yeah, it's a fantastic.
Even his ribbon in his hair matches the Dragon Magazine logo.
Oh,
Coincidence? Maybe.
someone's on a color palette.
It's maybe whoever did the logo is like, hey, I got to choose a color from the thing. There's only one color that's not brown or white or red green.
Well, magenta, classic, going with the cyan. It works.
Very Miami Vice. Let's get to articles. We've talked about this cover enough. Who wants to go first? Let's go with Pat because he's got a hat on.
Ugh. All right, let's go to Rob's favorite article, page 17.
17. I don't even know what's on 17. Oh, I was going to talk about this one. Yep.
Deadliest Dinosaurs.
This is my favorite article because it's not goddamn fucking mammals.
This author really took the book Jurassic Park to heart when he did this one.
Yeah.
And really made the same arguments that dinosaurs weren't really reptiles and uses different attributes to make the point. And then stats out the dinosaurs, including the velociraptors. So, I mean, it's somewhat a biology 1 class in this article. Talks about the same arguments that were made in Jurassic Park with what's his face's character. He puts into this. So I don't know. Did that book come out at this time?
Yeah, because he talks about it in the very beginning. He talks about he based it on the Jurassic Park
Michael
book.
Crichton.
The movie comes out a year
Yeah,
after
sure.
this, so he definitely hadn't seen the movie yet.
So I think he takes the arguments from the book and puts them in this article,
Yeah.
which not horrible arguments, but it is what it is. And I mainly read this article just because I wanted to see what the new monsters were like, and they don't disappoint. These are great for lost land type creatures if you're looking to do something like that. But I do enjoy it.
Yeah,
So, do you have anything else to add up since you read it?
no, I was just going to mention the Jurassic Park part. That yeah, the book is out, but the movie's not out yet, and it's good to see Velociraptors getting some love because they're cool. Even though I think the real ones they decided are a lot smaller than even the ones in the movie, so they're more like chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think recently they just speaking of things found in amber, like that movie, they just found a dinosaur tail encased in amber, and it shows the feathers and everything. Like it's the first time ever that they've found something to really prove that there was feathers on these dinosaurs, which is cool. That literally just came out like days ago. So top of the line.
Top of the morning, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's all
dinosaurs.
I got. I mean, it wasn't a super complicated article.
No.
Uh,
It gave some stat lines
it
for
really
him.
was. You get some stat lines, and it just if you were a big fan of Jurassic Park, this article is kind of up your boat.
Up your butt.
Up your butt.
It's not mammals, at least. That's all I'm saying. No mammals. No. What was it? Crustacean? No, not crustacean.
Paleozoic.
I don't remember. I don't want to think about that article anymore. Jack, what is your first article?
My first article is about the Paleolithic crustaceans on page 78, please.
I was confused at first. It's a beastery.
The beastery.
Look at that kitty. He's funny looking.
It is only two monsters, both in the format of the Monsters Compendium. So we are still rocking what I think is a pretty superior setup. You could photocopy these, toss them right in wherever you want. The first is a kind of like a gremlin-y Birdman type. They're just like evil monsters. I'm not.
His name is Cruel, so I think he might be evil.
Yeah. It's there's probably 1,000 different types of fey or sylvan creatures that prey on travelers and wanderers, and they are in that vein. Definitely, if you were to need something that your players don't know about, and like, oh well, he's got bird legs and stuff, throw them off their game. But the second is the Pardal.
He's so cute.
And it's like a displacer beast cat. It's got
He can hypnotize people.
Yeah, like a patterns on its fur, shift, and they get you to, not outrageously original, but again, it's a new monster.
No, he's big. He's 5 to 6 feet long, and not
But
including his tail.
that being said, it is the laziest of the cats.
Yeah, I like how he's just like he just lays around a lot and lets people get mesmerized by him and then eats them.
That's a tall order to be the laziest of the cats. Yeah. So yeah, it's a charming cat that gets
Literally.
you to get hypnotized and then eats you.
I was wondering if their fur does anything if you skin them.
Apparently, it's worth money.
Oh, it's primary component for a robe of scintillating colors. That kind of makes sense. But I was wondering.
There you go.
I was wondering if it actually had some magical properties all its own. I hate components. I think components are dumb.
I remember trying very hard to make it work and thinking, hey, this is important and it's going to be a different. I just never saw the allure. I tried.
Wow, especially when some things are like really expensive. Like I think Fireball or something had some crazy requirements for components. You're like, oh shit, I want to just use a Fireball. I don't want to have to use a. I think I had like a ruby or something worth a certain amount of money you had to burn and all this stuff. It was like,
Stack of dynamite.
yeah, I just want a boomstick. My first article might as well be the editorial. I think there's an editorial in this one. Yes. Oh, this one's kind of a touching one, actually. It's on page 8. This one is editorial talking about Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew, everybody's heard of this one because it was huge and destroyed most of Florida. And at the time, it was the worst hurricane ever. But obviously, we've beat that.
Well, Katrina. Katrina beat, and I think Andrew was the reigning champ until Katrina, right?
I think even the one that hit last year was worse than Katrina even.
Well, I meant in the timeline of hurricanes, I think Andrew was the reigning champ until Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina beat it after that. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's he's just like, yeah, every year there's one hurricane that it's like, no, there's multiple hurricanes now. It's much worse than it used to be. Good old Roger, always thinking of the positives in life. But yeah, he does give a lot of information how to give money to different charities, and I think it's just as important today as it was back then. So yeah, there's Red Cross and things like that. You can give money to charity. There's actually a phone number here. I don't know if it's still accurate, but I'm sure you could find the Red Cross phone number to give money, because it's coming on to hurricane season right now. So within
up again.
Yeah, it's there's already some starting in the Atlantic, so I'm sure we'll be hearing about some islands getting destroyed pretty soon. So I just thought it was good to point it out. And please, if you do have any extra cash laying around, it's not the best time right now, but yeah, think about donating, because these people get their houses destroyed every year. And especially on some of the islands, like Puerto Rico, I think they're still recovering from the last one. So
yeah.
The one that was 4 years ago, they're still.
But Puerto Rico got hit was an earthquake. I think was Puerto Rico.
Oh, they got hit with the hurricane. I remember that too. But I think it might have been a 1-2 punch. And I think the Keys got hit last year too, really bad. It's every year it seems bad. I know. What's it called? Tampa got hit last year too, because I remember.
Yeah, because it swung the backside. It went through the Gulf and then came around.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a lot of those places, especially in the States, they at least prepare for it. They have a lot of their homes are on stilts, and they have a lot of protection and also insurance. It's the islands that really get screwed because they don't have that kind of building permits or building requirements and things like that. Anyways, yeah, not to bring it down, but it's a good editorial just to talk about these disasters, and it is a good timing because even though this came out in like November, which is late, I guess they're still recovering after Andrew, even into November. Well, this would have been probably written in October. I don't remember what time of year Andrew was. Was it later in the year? I don't remember. Anyways, Pat, back to you.
Let's go to page 22. Bazaar of the Bazaar.
Sickle of Harvest.
This is our Druid magic item, specifically for Druid.
Druids, they don't deserve magic items.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
How dare
you? These are. He starts the article out was that the second edition DM contains only 2 magic items specifically intended for Druid. So this is his way of fixing it. Some of the ones that stood up to mind is the Sickle of Harvest, which I liked a lot.
Oh, wait, before you go too far, I love that first thing. He says his dungeon master he called it Dirt Priests.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. I'm going to start using that one.
Dirt Priests. But, these are Druid heavy. Like Sickle Harvest, it's great. It's a +2 weapon. Has a limited dancing ability, like a dancing sword. And it's also a magical harvesting tool. And when you give it a command word, it'll like fly out of your hand and harvest all the edible plants in here, so you'll never have to worry about getting hungry. And the square meal seeds are also pretty cool. You plant them, and then you get a square meal.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what was it? The feast. I forget what to call it.
Yeah.
Where you get you can make a feast out of nothing.
Heroes Feast.
Yeah, something like
was
that.
that it? Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they can grow in any weather condition too. So you can just plant a seed and you get a mango-sized tree of food.
You stupid priests are all veggies, though. Veg heads.
Yeah.
You're not getting any meat.
Oh, dude, dirt priest.
What about your protein there? You gonna get some beans,
Of course.
lentils?
It's filled with vitamins and nutrients.
Nobody wants to eat lentils.
I guess when you're starving, are you going to really worry about whether it's meat or vegetable?
Will the tree grow tofu?
Seitan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. If you like druids, these are some great magical items for you guys to use. So,
if you like druids, there's help out there for you. There's groups.
If you like dirt priests, I'm going to keep using that word for Rob.
Jack is offended. He is a druid at heart.
Dinosaurs and Druids. I didn't know.
Is that your new game you're inventing?
It's a game that you would hate, apparently.
No, mammals. I love dinosaurs. I hate mammals. Mammals and druids. Worst combo.
All right. But that's my second article.
I don't hate druids. I don't even think of them.
I don't hate druids, and I'll play a druid if I have to, but it's not a class that I despise like the bard.
I'm trying to think if I don't think I've ever played a druid. Even in like video games, I refuse to play a druid. Maybe in WoW, I tried to use a druid once. Maybe it didn't work out well. Jack, what's your next article?
My second article is 62, the right side mid page.
Oh. Beetletoads?
Beetletoads.
The most frustrating game ever invented?
Well, see, that is the point. So I'm just going to read. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's short, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. It starts out. We heard so much good press about this cartridge, and we finally had to take a look at it ourselves. The commotion is well deserved because Battletoads is probably the best action game we've played in a long time for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I never played it.
Oh.
But all I've heard through the zeitgeist, through osmosis, cultural osmosis, is how awful the game is.
I would say awful. It's just hard. It's just punishing.
So farther down the article, it says, in no way, however, does that mean Battletoads is easy. The game requires you to put in many hours to master it. Thankfully, you can enlist the aids of other humans to do it. I don't know for a fact, but I've always heard that you couldn't beat the game.
Oh,
it was that frustrating.
I think it's beatable. It's just I don't think there's any save points, and I think you just have to keep. It's like playing Dark Souls before there's Dark Souls.
Yeah, I don't remember this game actually. I don't think I ever played it.
It's like a side scroller, but it's kind of like you're always going forward. So you're forced to you can't stop and be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. You're always moving, from what I remember, and it's just like, it is tough. Like it takes crazy amounts of concentration that even as a child I did not have. Undiagnosed ADHD as a child did not help me with this game.
Is it one of those where you have to do repetition memory?
Oh yeah.
So it's patterns, or is it it's
both combat and it's patterns. Sometimes you're on I think it's skateboards and you jump stuff and you have to know what you're doing. Other times you're fighting things, and yeah, it's like it was like a Ninja Turtles kind of side scroller, but it had it was just, I remember it just being nonstop. Like you kind of just had to keep doing it, and it was it was really just relentless.
I just looked it up. I don't recognize it.
I don't think I ever owned it. I think I rented it, and it was just like, oh dear God, no. But there's a lot of games similar to this that were better. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know why they heap so much love on Battletoads. Maybe it was an earlier one. Maybe this is like I say, like in the arcades. Like we played the hell out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was definitely out by this point. And X-Men, those kind of side-scrolling games. Like they're, I guess at home, X-Men was available at home. Like I've definitely played it, so maybe not yet. It would have been right around this time. It definitely in the arcades it was available because I was playing it when I was in high school, and I was definitely just in high school, still in '93. I think that's when I graduated, so or '92, '90. Yeah, it'd been right about the time I was playing those arcade games. So skipping class to go play X-Men or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is my second to last semester in college at this point, so
yeah. But yeah, Battletoads. This was one of mine too because I just want to mention how goddamn hard this game was.
Okay, well, at least I wasn't mistaken. At least it was like, no, you're thinking of Double Dragon or some other thing. And
it was similar to Double Dragon, but Double Dragon was fun. That's the difference. You could actually like stop, and I think it had save points at Double Dragon, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of those early games didn't. There was no real. You couldn't stop playing, but at least to have checkpoints. I remember what it's like. Shadowrun was one of the first games that had like a save, like an actual battery in it to actually save your game. Like that was rare.
Mm.
Final Fantasy had that too.
Like one of the original ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like RPGs, you kind of have to. You can't play through the whole game in one sitting. So, but this was before internal memories or even memory cards, like the PlayStation with the memory card you plugged in. Yeah.
Yeah, the Nintendo didn't have memory cards.
No, the only memory would have been on the actual thing. And Jack knows I have a funny story about Shadowrun just because my battery died in the Shadowrun, so I had to leave Shadowrun on, and it eventually killed my NES. I actually killed my NES by leaving Shadowrun on because I couldn't turn it off.
For weeks.
Probably more than weeks. But anyways, fun times. Nintendo, they don't say the price, which I'm surprised. Usually they say the price for these games, but seeing the prices is always crazy how much these games were. No wonder I rented most games, I guess. I think that was probably what you did back then. My next article, let's go. You already did Dinosaurs, we already did Battletoads. I'm running out of things. Let's go to page 97. The Game Wizards. This one is we talked about, I think last time we talked about this Gen Con, how crazy it was in the castle and all this. This is from Thomas M. Reed's point of view. He's just a lackey at the TSR booth. This is his point of view for his first Gen Con. This was his first one. Imagine being the biggest Gen Con ever to be your first Gen Con. But it's just so funny reading the recap. It's just like, working Gen Con is such a universal experience. That like you're like, yep, I felt that. Yep. Oh yeah, that's the exact same. Oh yeah, being so tired and trying to get some food. Yep. Okay. Yeah. And talking about demoing, having to sit there and demo for hours on end, and like it's just crazy how universal the whole thing is. If you're stuck in a booth, even if it's a TSR booth in 1992, it's not much different than a Mantic booth in 2025 or 24. So, yeah. I just thought it was a fun little article about his experiences and a little behind the scenes of how a Gen Con, for those who don't get to experience it that way, I think this would be a real interesting article. For me, this is the only way I've ever experienced it. So
yeah, we're gonna I think hopefully this year, fingers crossed, we can actually go and play as participants.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens, but one day
everything's in play to happen. Just whether or not our frail bodies can handle it.
Yeah, it's not good times, but
the good news is that it'll be less stressful for us because, like this year's Adepticon, we can come and go as we please.
Yeah. And we really
we're fucking tired. We're gonna go take a nap.
We're just leaving. Yeah, we're done for the day. Yeah. Okay, bye. You don't have to worry about it.
I think we. Like that first Adepticon, we think we left like at 1.
Yeah.
We went home at 1.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, we saw what we wanted to see today.
And then relaxed on the couch for 5 hours.
Yeah. We did go more days than we expected, but it was still pretty relaxed.
Yeah, but the good news is we just kind of went nilly. Like we said, well, we got to be there by this. Let's just get up here and then just go.
Yeah, I think there was only one time you had actually beef or something. You had something to do with, you were demoing some games for Terrace's group there. That was the only time you actually had to be there for a reason. Yeah. But yeah, it's good to actually just relax and enjoy a con for once. I never really it's been a long time since I could do that at Adepticon, and I'd never done that for a Gen Con, so maybe.
Maybe this year.
Yeah. Pat, I'm sure Jack's got none left, but Pat, you got any left?
I do. I think I have. Let's do page 90.
90, eh?
Role playing review.
Oh yeah, I left this one for you. I thought this was definitely.
Yeah, the Shadowrun code. I mean, he did hate Shadowrun and all, but there is a hater quote that
This is my arch nemesis, Alan Varney, again. So.
Yeah. Oh, Bruce Sterling is the guy who wrote it. It starts the whole article. Cyberpunk has been. The mechanics of the games are fine, but the snare are rendered moronic by the lame fantasy elements like orcs, dwarves, trolls, magicians, and dragons. All highly ideologically incorrect, according to the hard-edged, high standards. That's the part about Cyberrun that makes it, or Shadowrun, that makes it different than Cyberpunk. It's still a Cyberpunk setting in a sense, but you get a little side. I mean, this is the guy that. Is this the guy that wrote the
Yeah, the same asshole. Yeah, no, Bruce Sterling's the author. The guy who wrote this is Alan Varney. Bruce Sterling's one of the cyberpunk authors that he's friends with, who is just sounds like a bit ass like himself. That he thinks he controls with the cyberpunk. He's part of the movement. Yeah, but meanwhile, nobody's ever heard of him other than like it's like you're not William Gibson or nobody cares.
So, but Alan Varney, while he shares his like for Bruce Sterling is one of the founders of the movement of cyberpunk. I don't know if he is the founder or one of the founders, but he does not 100% agree with Bruce on the Shadowrun. He actually kind of likes Shadowrun a little.
Well, even in the Cyberpunk one, he said that when he reviewed Cyberpunk, he's like, yeah, it's not as good without the fantasy tropes. It's like, well, no, then it's not Cyberpunk, then it's Shadowrun.
Yeah. But it goes. This is the second edition versions and all the different source books he goes through. He does like the improvements made in Shadowrun second edition, especially in the combat system and the magic system. The magic I remember in first edition was very, very.
Oh yeah.
Get a rope and hang me kind of a situation. And same with the combat. Well, the one thing about Shadowrun, for me at least, is that the combat. When I first read the rules, I was like, "Oh, this is great because you're picking where you hit and all this other thing." And then when it got to gameplay, when we finally sat down and played together, I was like, okay,
this doesn't work.
On paper it was great, but in actual playability, not so good.
Jack, tell your story about somebody jumping over a counter and you shoved a gun into his groin.
Yeah, I forget, there was no mechanic for like point blank, like putting the gun right to like into someone's like.
You still had to roll the hit kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah, and it was a. And I remember a couple times, like I there was a spell called Urban Renewal, and I wanted to use it, and then the guy who was running the game literally said, and this was the first edition, I think.
It was for sure.
It says what it does, but it doesn't really say what it does. And I was like, well, yeah, I was thinking this, and he was like, oh, I don't know about that. And it was the first edition was pretty iffy. Maybe it was operator error, maybe it was, but yeah, there was mechanically things that.
Yeah, look, I just remember points where it's just like, really, like literally things that should have been like, okay, you hit, or. Didn't you? There was a lot of like opposed rolls for like armor and stuff, wasn't there? I remember it being real complex to actually do combat.
There's a lot. You gotta. Your power of the weapon has to beat the value of the armor for you to score points and damage, and it's still something like that, but it's much more concise and constrained now.
Yeah.
But in this article, they do talk about how they debuted second edition at Gen Con. They bought 500 copies, and they sold all 500 copies by the second day. They were selling like 200 a day, and they sold 200 in 12 minutes on Friday.
Oh, yeah. Shadowrun at this point is like the height of playing it for sure. We had definitely been playing this already by now, because I remember in high school, once again, we were playing this game. So we're definitely playing first edition.
Yeah.
And then we got the Shadow Tech.
we had a friend Refik, and his mind was
He was a min-maxer to the max.
he could beat video games. He would just sit down and watch you play for a little bit, and all of a sudden, okay, I got it, and then he would just do it.
Yeah,
he did. And at one point, he was tinkering with something, and I looked at him and I went, "Oh, okay." I could see he was almost close. He was trying something else, and I think I made a troll who statistically you couldn't hit him because of the way I stacked some certain stuff, the armor and his dermal something, and then something. And I was just I could just stand there, and no one
couldn't do any damage to you. Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely in the first edition there was ways to break the system. That's for sure. They must have cleaned that up by second edition. Like I say, by then we probably weren't playing second edition, so I think we only ever played first edition.
Oh, really? It does talk about
our buddy saw an ad for it, and before it was even out. This predates Kickstarter by a long shot. And he was like, "Oh, I when it gets released, I'm getting a copy," and it had all these books and stuff. I don't know how that worked. Whatever, he was able to do it.
Yeah, it was. We're on cutting edge of Shadowrun, but yeah, they do have all the other books here, Shadow Tech.
Bringing in the Shadow Tech, the second edition gives you new Cyber Tech. The new Grimoire, which brings in the second edition Magic, which also got cleaned up because that was also just as bad as the combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings in Harlequin, which is, like I said, arguably probably one of the best campaign adventures written for any RPG.
It is definitely influential. Like, you don't forget about Harlequin.
So this is when Shadowrun really starts to pick up its steam. Like it comes full force at this point, second edition. So,
yeah, I think this was the beginning of to make sure that everything was all good. I just saw the memorial him at the end. Curtis M. Scott, game designer, died in a car accident. We salute you, sir.
George C. Scott.
M. Scott this time. It is an M. Yeah. He wrote some TSR stuff and Conan stuff and GURP stuff. Yeah. So Shadowrun. As for me, we're going to go to letters. There's a funny letter, I believe. Go to page 6. Look at all these pictures. It's because that people are accusing the artist of stealing Jack Nicholson's likeness for the photo shoot on the Cheers cover, and also saying it was like Cheers, and that's Kirstie Alley in the back. And they're like, no, these are our employees. Here's pictures of them. Here's the actual pictures of our employees posing for this thing. It's just coincidence that they happen to look like these people. And it's not like he did much artistic license. The artist pretty much drew exactly what he saw. So I don't know if it's in this one or later that they comment on how TSR got a little pissy. I think it is in this, where about how they keep stealing their employees to pose as models, and they're like, they're supposed to be working, they're not supposed to be models. But I guess it happens a lot. But
well, guess what? It's cheap model fees. You don't have to pay those fees.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, hey, guy from accounting, come over here. But I just like how people are like trying to be dicks and accuse him of steal, like, tracing and shit like that, and he's just like, no, here it is.
Tracing.
Yep. Funny stuff that they just were like, oh yeah, I'll show you pictures. We have picture-ish proof. And it literally is like, the one picture is the side shot with his arm and everything, and the girl behind him, and the other shot's him looking at the camera, which is exactly the picture from the cover. So fun. Anything else, Pat? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I guess we could touch on page 34.
34. Jack's like, what are you doing here?
Arcane lore. This is a bunch of new spells for the elemental class of wizards. Apparently they didn't have a lot out of the Tome of Magic, so they put some new things in here to make them a little more attractive. I'm always a big fan of adding new things for anything, so this caught my eye a little bit, but if I was to play wizard, it wouldn't be an elementalist, so it only catches my eye because it's new spells.
They're really good in Talisman. One of my favorites. They don't really cast spells.
But yeah, if you are a good magic user and you agree with the author that there just wasn't that much for the new specialist mage, and here you go.
Yeah, if you had a new specialist mage, you probably should have spells for him. That would actually probably help.
Yeah, I feel like they did that a little bit too, because there was an article we did, the necromancer one.
There wasn't enough.
Where they added there wasn't enough opposed school magic for the necromancer. That's what it was.
Wow, yeah. Because really, opposite of necromancer is a cleric, really.
Yeah. But it is what it is, you know.
How do you feel about the schools of magic that came into the second edition? Do you think it was an improvement or just overcomplication?
I think it was kind of I think it was an improvement. I do, because, you know, it kind of because it felt like in first edition you could just be a wizard, but then you can take any spell.
And you just kind of ends up being pretty generic.
Yeah, because, you know, this was a nice limiter when you got to higher levels, you know, that you can only work as schools of magic that you're attuned to. And,
yeah, because everybody's choosing magic
like
missile,
that.
Everybody's choosing fireball, everybody's, you know, lightning bolt, or, you know.
Yeah, everyone's the same kind of wizard.
Yeah.
So I do like the fact that this adds a little more flavor to it.
That
And
makes sense.
if you are truly into role playing and you really want to, and you're not a power gamer, then you're really trying to. If you're we'll use the elementalist for an example. If you're really trying to be an elementalist wizard, then you're going to want these spells. You're going to want these specialized spells to make you an elementalist wizard, and not the same as a necromantic wizard or an abjuration wizard.
Yeah, it is a way to. It almost gives you more character classes, really, because it's not just a wizard. You're a specific type of wizard.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you, the wizard class, a little more versatility. Say, like the fighter class, there's a million fighters, and everyone, you know, you gravitate towards Cavalier, and I gravitate towards a more ranger-esque type of character if I was to play a fighter. And Jack he's more of a lover, not a fighter.
Jack's a gnome at heart.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I would wear a pointy hat if I could get away with it.
If I could. If I could.
If you could pull it off.
So,
I would dart hither and hither in amongst the foliage.
When people look at you, just pretend you're a statue.
I would just freeze.
He's just a lot.
I do also feel like that's probably why I felt like, at least in my area, when Oriental Adventures came out, everyone was all about the Wuxia, the Chinese,
because it was different.
Magic users, because it was different than a regular wizard or magic user in D&D. So
you want to try something new and different.
Yeah.
I was never really into magic, so I don't think I've ever played a magic user. So
yeah, I mean, it's not my first character to play, but it's not it's not like my most hated. And I'll play magic user if need be. If the party needs magic user, I'll play magic user. I don't mind.
Yeah, one day we should do a list of our top tier stuff, our favorite things. Yeah. Top 3 things.
I can tell you what's on my bottom.
Bards.
Bards.
My bottom, probably be wizards. Only
pretty cool. So, speaking of which, I did want to mention. Did you see? I saw a thing on YouTube today where they were talking about the new class in D&D, and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" You know, not that I played 5th edition, but I was just curious. If you're not, they called it the Scion, which basically is just a psionicist.
Yeah, that's not new. We've had psionicists since
I was like, why
20.
is that new? How's that new?
Yeah, it's not new. And especially if you play Pathfinder, that kind of stuff that's been a character class in Pathfinder forever.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, that's what people are like. There's all these new character classes in D&D. It's like, no, none of them are really new.
No, these are all the same things that have been around forever. They just named it something else.
Or just
instead of IST, they just put an ON on the end of it.
Yeah, well, that too. That's like reminds me of Warhammer when they had changed all the names for everything just so they could copyright it.
Yeah.
We can't be called High Elves anymore. Let's call them, I don't know what they're called, but
I don't know what they're called either. Still,
but they got all these wacky new names. Any more articles, Pat?
No, I am done.
Let's go to ads then. Jack, you can take the first because we don't want to steal yours.
Okay, if we could go to 122, please.
That seems like almost the end of the magazine.
We're doing a follow-up to
Hot
I
Lead.
got one.
Hot Lead. We've got Steve Jackson's Hot Lead. Again, we had discussed the
Oh, but now it's got a
Kinda.
picture.
It's got a picture at least.
yes. It doesn't explain exactly what's going on here. It
It actually gives me
one
more
of those-
questions because it's got a
Yeah, is
it's
it
like a barbarian
sci-fi
and
or
a
is it
sci-fi. Yeah.
It looks like it could be one of those like a core rules systems where you
GURPS. I think it's for GURPS. Steve Jackson makes GURPS.
so like a
Maybe it's a miniature rules for GURPS. That would make a lot of sense, Jack.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think you cracked the code.
it's only a guess. Only a guess, but again, the background, the logo, just everything about it is
Extreme.
peak 90s quality aesthetic, and I'm here for it. That I like that ad, full color on a
Yeah.
glossy.
It is definitely a nice ad.
mwah.
I can't read the signature, but it's pretty cool. It's it definitely makes you go, this looks cool. I wonder what this is. I've never heard of it, and we still haven't looked it up, but yeah, I'm curious. I think you might be right though. It might be a generic rules system for
That's actually a good idea. It wouldn't put it past Steve Jackson to do a GURPS miniature
yeah.
rule set.
That's why it's called hot lead, even though it's not lead
Hot
anymore.
lead.
They can't call it hot white metal.
Wait, hot.
White hot metal. I could have called that.
It's hot lead, full quote unquote hot lead colon full of vitamins and nutrients.
Yeah, don't worry, it's not actual lead. Pat, what's your first one?
That's my only one.
I only have one too.
Let's go to page 76.
At least we didn't have the same one. We all have different ones. 76. Is it the?
We're right at the very bottom. The oversized heavy mechanized units.
Yeah, we talked about this one before.
Tome.
But this one now
Is
it's a
this
tank
an-
instead of a mech.
Yeah, is this an agnostic minigame is what I want to say? Because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, we last time we thought it might be a ripoff of BattleTech, but now it's got tanks, so maybe it looks like a ripoff of Ogre now. So I'm not sure.
It does have a ogre vibe on that machine.
But
So,
it does seem like it's just, hey, let's make a game with a bunch of different vehicles that I assume it's a miniature game. I think it does it say it's a miniature game?
it is. It does say it's a definite fast play mass combat system for 1/300 scale miniatures. But so this is why I'm thinking it's just an agnostic minigame rule set. It's only 96. Because
Yeah.
it's only a 96-page rule book.
Yeah, it must be. It's out of England too. They liked doing a lot of that kind of thing, like just miniature.
Yeah.
They were big miniature gamers, whereas I think North America is more role playing games, so it makes more sense.
1 to 300 scale. Like that's an odd way to do it. Miniatures have been in a like so many millimeters has been the
Yeah, well, I think I
Well,
don't know when they switched it
BattleTech
over.
is in 1/285, I think. So it's similar to BattleTech scale.
okay.
28 mil is. I think 28 mil is 1/300.
Wow. It also
Yeah.
it's hard to say because look at the size of that tank and those people. Like scale is a funny thing when you're talking about sci-fi because what is really scale in sci-fi? How do you know how big a tank is? You know, so.
Well, I think what they're talking about is the scale of the miniatures.
Yeah,
Like
but
a-
I don't
an
think it
A
has.
train or O train.
But I don't think it has people. Like I think it's all vehicles. I would assume at that scale, there's not going to be people.
Well, we
miniatures.
don't know. It's this mass combat. So again, we don't know much about this thing other than it's just an agnostic mini game.
At 1/300 scale, the people would be pinheads. That they're very small. So
So I just was wondering as a frame of reference for because we've seen so far a bipedal mech type, and now we've seen this giant tank, and I'm thinking, well, if it's are they lead?
well, that's the thing. There's no
Are they-
miniatures. I think Pat might be right. They don't make the miniatures, which is kind of unless they do and they just haven't shown them off, which would be kind of weird. You'd think that would be the selling point for this to show off the miniatures. I think it's just a rule book, so you can use any miniatures. So they're, but
Yeah, well, I'm looking online, and 1/300 scale infantry is about the size of the Cav minis, the Cav troops.
is there troops in Cav?
Yeah.
Is there? I don't even think I have any.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Must be real small. Like BattleTech, like the smallest BattleTech troops
It's
they
like
do
epic
elementals.
It's like epic size, I would say.
Yeah. Epic,
Is my
yeah.
guess.
Epic could be about that scale. Yeah, it makes both sense.
Yeah.
Was Epic out at this point? Yeah, it was. We've talked about it already, right?
Oh yeah. So it
So,
was called Space Marine then.
yeah, so they're probably just ripping off Epic. That's all this is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Maybe.
Well, they are British.
Oh, and it was also Titan Legion too. Remember, because we did a couple ads with it
Yeah.
where you just
The
got
giant
the building
Titans,
and the
yeah.
couple Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deptus Titanicus or whatever it is.
I think it was, yeah. Those games went through so many name iterations. I forget which one's which.
It's definitely called that now, and I think at the time it was something similar, like, but it went through different names
It's
in
the
between.
Deptus Titanicus now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we went and looked at it at the Deptus now.
It was actually not a bad
I think
price.
it was Titan. It was Titan Legion back in the day.
Yeah. They have many different names. And Epic. Epic was... Because that's all in the same scale, isn't it? Titan, those ones are all the same scale, I think, right? Epic and
Yes.
Titanicus, I think they're all the same.
They all meld.
Yeah.
They sold them separately, and then you can put them together.
Yeah. Anyways, good old Omaha, whatever this is. My only ad is on page 37. And I just want to say, look how sad this poor werewolf looks. Someone stole his toy.
Oh, my chew toy.
Look at him. Look at how sad he is. He doesn't look
It's
scary
all
at
in
all.
the eyes.
It is all in the eyes.
Those eyes are full of sadness.
It's like his master left and never came back. Went to get milk, never came back. Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious that the Werewolf the Apocalypse, you're supposed to be all mean and evil, and they drew on the saddest looking werewolf. Do you think, what is it, Harris, do you think he thought it was mean looking? It's just the way that the shadows worked or something? Or did he actually mean to make it look like a sad werewolf?
I made it look like a sad werewolf because werewolves in general are just sad. They're outcasts of humanity.
Maybe it's supposed to show that they have an inner turmoil. They're not just killing machines. They have feelings too. If you're playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, don't forget your werewolf has feelings.
Yeah, if you're getting apocalypsed, maybe you are sad. Maybe this is one of the last werewolves in this pack being hunted.
Are they the Apocalypse-er or the Apocalypse-E? That's a...
I just remember that werewolves and vampire were ultra powerful and would just render a vampire to shreds.
If I've learned anything from Underworld, is that they hate each other and they fight a lot.
Yes, but if you brought a werewolf, but the werewolves in Werewolf, when they fought a vampire in the werewolf rules, they weren't as strong, which was weird.
Oh yeah, just this slightly different power set.
Yeah, like they were stronger in vampire than they were in their own rule set.
Yeah. Well, you don't want the heroes of your game to be too tough, but as a villain, you can make them tougher. Yeah, good old White Wolf. The storytelling game of savage horror. Or sad horror. Whoa. I think that wraps up this episode, though. We have nothing else to talk about, do we, guys?
Nope.
This has been 187. We're slowly trudging along the timeline. We're into 1992. All of us are you back playing at this point, Pat?
No, I'm still in college. I start to go back, and I'm starting to meet up with some people at this point. Like, by the time I'm done with college, I'm probably in the middle of 93. I'm playing more regularly.
See, at this point, this is our heyday of playing right now. 92 is probably the height of my role playing. So, yeah. But that was that. That was November 92. We'll be back for December 92 next week. Until then, please like, share, subscribe, comment below. I don't think we have anything to comment about. Comment if you think that werewolf is sad.
Let us know if you, and comment on your School of Magic. That's a good debate right there. Did you think the Schools of Magic were bad or good?
Also, your top 3 character classes you like to play. That's always good things to comment about, too.
Or don't. Or just no comments. You can try that.
Comment that you love Jack and that you want him...
Don't comment using no commas or apostrophes.
Yeah, we don't like punctuation here.
And different fonts would be nice too.
I don't know if that's possible in YouTube.
Just being hurtful.
You can do emojis. I found that out last time. I emojied on YouTube. I didn't know it was possible. Anyways, until next time, I've been Rob.
And I'm Jack.
And I'm Chopper.
I'm a sad werewolf. Boo hoo.